was that for an intro?
Hey, that's great.
It is, isn't it? I had it made special.
Yeah.
Loving it. Oh, goodness me. Yeah. I'm just knocking my water everywhere. How are you, Jonathan?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Now, how are you?
Good. I'm really good. I'm very glad to have you back.
Oh, it's great to be back.
It's been almost a year, hasn't it?
Has it? You know what? I was just going to ask you that, and I can't remember, honestly. I remember it being dark outside like it is now and being in the lights, you know, but yeah.
Yeah, it's been almost a year, and I have my cup of tea. So
Yeah.
we did a year ago, just having a cup of tea together, just chatting and having a cup of tea.
Fennel for me.
Indeed, right? Indeed. So for those of you who have just joined, thank you very much for joining us. My name's Nat Rich, and I last year in the lockdown, beginning of January, so it's from Christmas until middle of February, I did a live show every single night on YouTube, and I had loads of my friends coming in to talk about awkward stuff, talk about energy, rabbit holes, conspiracies. We were talking about, you know, really stuff that matters to the heart. And one of the people I had on quite a few times, I think about 4 or 5 times. Yeah, talking with you.
With sound work and everything, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about sound, of course, sound, another subject. So it was Jonathan, and then I thought to myself, I want to have Jonathan back on, and I want to get him as a regular because I read your emails every week when they come out, and I thought it'd be really cool to kind of work with you on a monthly basis if we can, to get you to do kind of an energy reading and just to showcase what you're doing, because I love it. So I wanted to support. I love chatting and having cups of tea.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Good. So how have you been since we last saw you? What's been going down in your town?
Yeah, well, I think we last saw you just as you were shooting off to Devon, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, that's exactly where I am now.
We packed you up with a few crystals and everything, so hopefully they're still charged up.
Massive crystal. Is like huge crystal that just sent my dreams into another reality, which was very grateful for that. Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, crikey, what hasn't been happening? I think that's more the point, isn't it? Really, it's there has been so much going on, you know, and energy being the topic of the evening. It's wow. I mean, just in the last few days, it's been quite intense, and it's always around these events like the lunar eclipse, and we're coming up to the solstice as well, of course, and you know, it's really building now towards the solstice. I don't know if you feel that yourself, Nat.
I do. And do you know about the solstice? So when I can't remember, it was through Mark Devlin, wasn't it? I think I heard you on Mark Devlin's show, and then I reached out. Then I had you on my show, and then I think I came with my mum, and you did a bit of sound healing, and then you did a reading. And when you did the reading, did me a lovely reading and was saying to me, there's a few things you got to watch out for. And it was about the winter solstice, and I'd not got anything planned, had I? And then I was like, do you know what? I'll go back into a Yorkshire accent now, by the way, as well, because I'm talking to you. So if anybody hasn't heard me talk like this, my old accent, which has somehow disappeared, was a Yorkshire accent. So I'll drift back into that slowly. And you said, just watch out for the stars, and there'll be a big shift, and you're going to realize something. And obviously that was nuts, because I ended up going on a random adventure, and there was lots of stars that I kept seeing, and I was driving down, and I was driving down to Avebury. Somebody cancelled on me in Avebury and said, oh, sorry, I can't do anything. So I had to continue driving all the way to Devon, drove to Totnes, and I met up with a friend, and I said, I've had this crazy journey on this way down, and I feel like I need to go and put my feet on the sand. And I haven't done that since I'd left, since I was 7. So he said, okay, cool, let's go. So we went to the beach, and it was just before midnight, and we looked up, and the Bethlehem star, the clouds parted. We saw the Bethlehem star that night, and obviously it was the first time I put my feet in Devon, on the soil or the sand in Devon, since I was 7 years old. And then my Spotify started playing on my phone when I wasn't playing anything, and it started playing the track called Full Circle. And I'd realized that I'd come full circle and I needed to come back to Devon. So I said to my mum and dad, can we move back to Devon? I think it's time. They just said yes. So then we literally moved. So that was all because of you. And now we're back here. And a year later, I'm launching my business. I'm launching I Am Sound membership version on the solstice. So we're very excited. Yeah.
Wonderful stuff. Yeah.
All the connections. So tell us about the solstice. Tell us what is the major thing going on with the solstice at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's kind of there's always something about the solstice, isn't there? Because it's a major event, you know, and it's just you know, it's more to do with the opposing sides, if you like. You know, it's kind of for all those who might you know, be into energy work and or even might not be into energy work, that it's we've always got to bear in mind that life's a dichotomy. You know, it's kind of, there's always two sides to everything. That's a good old saying, isn't it? There's two sides to everything. And it's very much the case right now, Nat, for me, spiritually, where I come from in a spiritual point of view, that the two sides are really ramping up right now. And it seems to be that when the darkness gets darker, the light also begins to get lighter. Yeah. And just this last night? See, I don't do the news, sorry, but I hear that something was announced last night, which is, again, perhaps not for the benefit of humanity as such, but but I want to say that you know, I've just had another channeling today, which has come through, which is kind of saying to us, you know what, and you know me, I kind of go off on a tangent, don't I?
That's why I love talking to you. I've got a cup of tea. I'm ready to go. Go for it.
But I just want to say, what an amazing message you gave on that that video recently. I can't remember what you entitled it, but it was talking about us being responsible for the whole thing.
Oh yeah, that we need to take full responsibility.
And you know what? That's exactly right. And my channeling tonight that I've done is very much on the similar lines. It's like there's this massive message coming out to humanity right now that it's like, okay, you know, get a grip. You know, it's like, get a grip on yourselves, because you put yourselves here. You can ask us for help, okay, but you've got to do it for yourselves.
Yeah, you need to meet us halfway.
And that resonated so much. And I couldn't think of anybody other than yourself now who put it in such an amazing way. That, and if anybody's not seen that, what you recorded now, then I would recommend that they go and watch it.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 videos ago. I've got a cream cardigan on. I think it's that one.
Is it?
I was just in the kitchen, and I'm just, you know, because I channel stuff as well, and I just sat there and I thought, it's just, I always teach personal responsibility as much as I can, and it's all about how can we meet that energy halfway. You know, it's magic and logic. It's, we've got to work the both together. I sat there and I just got all these goosebumps, and I was like, I'm fed up. I'm just going to do a video. Off I went. And I had some really good reviews on that. Actually, loads of people reaching out to me that, and you know, that would just said, you know, you really resonate with what you were saying, because it is, we have to show up, and we can look at the world and say, you know what, it's fucked, I hate it, can't stand it, but really, what can you do about it? You can only handle what you've got. You can only handle your part. So if you can do your part really, really well, then you're a really, really good part of the whole. And if everybody does their parts really, really well, then we've got a stronger whole. But we don't have that if we're divided, we're blaming, you know, all this stuff going on with Boris and his shit haircut, with this terrible party that's just happened, which I didn't know about until the late nail lady told me today they were talking about it. And it's just like, it's going to get like so much worse. It's going to, in the sense of, it's going to get even more mind bending, and it's going to make hardly any sense whatsoever until you really get that there's something that we can do about this situation. And this is why I wanted to have you on, because you talk like it is, you know, you're very Yorkshire, and that's why I love you dearly. And you know, there's no airs and graces. It's just, this is it. Take it or leave it, and then do something about it if you want. If you can't, then fine, don't complain about it. You know, and it's that. And I just love, I can't wait to hear what else you've got to say. So I'm going to shut up. See, I haven't got
well, you know, no, not at all. Because, you know, I think we're good. We bounce off each other, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? And that's what we all should be doing, bouncing off each other and throwing these wild theories and thoughts out there, you know, because we all need to really relate our own experience, you know, and life is, you know, we come here for one thing, and that is experience. You know what I mean? That's the reason we exist on Earth, is because we come for the experience. And if we can enlighten ourselves within that time, then fantastic, you know. But this accelerated awakening right now is just incredible to witness, and it's just kind of you know, taking each day step by step, but being very much mindful in the moment, in the present, rather than trying to think too far ahead or kind of dwell on the past. You know, that mindfulness thing really is important to feel right now. And you asked about the solstice. You know, we're going up to another, I would call it a gateway, really, another gateway which will release yet more energy. And as you mentioned that, yeah, things are going to get worse. You know, they're going to get worse before they get better. And I know that's not a kind of message of hope for a lot of people. But it is true, because there really aren't enough of us yet that get it. You know, not everybody's going to get it, but you know, John Lennon keeps coming into mind, and you know, the more that I think about his lyrics, the more that, you know, I mean, I was a huge Beatles fan when I was in my teens. And just if anybody's thinking, I actually wasn't kind of around. I was only kind of 5 years old when they were at the heyday.
No one's thinking it.
Everybody's going to believe that one, aren't they? And but no, I do remember seeing "Get Back" on Top of the Pops when it was #1 in 1969. So that's how old I am, basically. But I was only about 5. But it impressed me because they were playing on top of the Apple building, you know. So that, oh yeah, look, you know, even as a 5-year-old, that kind of got my interest. But some of the lyrics that he comes out with, you know, in the song "Imagine." And it's like very simple lyrics, but massively powerful, you know. And there's so many lines in that song that just are all about now. So people like him, these visionaries, you know, that see the future or whatever, or they've got a grasp on their own spirituality. And I feel as though once you've got a grasp on your own spirituality, then you start to see the bigger picture, don't you? You know, you see the wider view when you become, rather than just a participant in the whole morass of whatever we're going through right now, you actually become an observer. And when you are the observer, you can literally take time out of all this and really just take time to see what's going on and to see, you know, this side of the fence, that side of the fence, the ones in the middle, the ones that are up there, whatever. You know, it's a wonderful thing to be able to do that. And just kind of, as you've said, you've got to trust in yourself, because that's all we've got, you know. I mean, yeah, we've got friends, we've got family, we've got loved ones, you know, around us. But at the end of the day, this is the connector, isn't it? This is the true connector. This is the heart, and it connects everything to everyone, everybody, and everything. And if we can learn to tap into that energy, then yes, we can change the world, you know. And people say, oh, well, how are we going to do this and how are we going to do that? And, you know, and it's like, well, we don't have to physically go out there on the streets, okay, because energy is all around us. And the more that we are able to influence that energy and that vibration, then it's actually going to start happening, you know. But if we're going to continue on the fear pathway, we're going to struggle. You know, we've got to rise above that, haven't we?
We totally have. There's somebody asked a question, and I'd like to chime in and answer it, and also let you have an opportunity to answer it as well. Northern conspiracy theorist, hello. I love it spelled in conspiracy with a K. When does the collective wake up? What event will trigger that, in your opinion? And so I want to be really clear on this in the most, the nicest way I can possibly say this. There is no event. There's not one event that's going to make people go, oh, wow. That's the problem. Everyone's waiting for somebody to drop this information. And how I've seen it and how I've been guided to understand it and how I've seen the change I'm looking for in the world within myself is when it's all starting with the microcosm. In order to be able to change anything externally, you have to look internally first. And people who don't fully grasp that yet, I ask you just to bend down a little bit in terms of the kind of outward looking, and you're looking for something else, and come right down and look actually in your life. Look at what you can do in your life and say to yourself, and I'll challenge you when I say this, and I don't mean to in a negative way, but if you haven't solved everything in your own life, you cannot support anything externally on a bigger scale. So what I mean is, if you haven't answered your WhatsApps, if you haven't sorted your emails out, if you haven't done your bills, if you haven't solved your awkward conversations, if you haven't tidied up your own communication, if you haven't done your little bit, your energy is what's needed on the whole, and everybody's energy is what's needed on the whole. And until we do our little bits and become that really super strong Lego brick, we can't build a house together. And this is the problem, is that we're waiting for this one external event. And actually the event happens on the inside. Because when you go through esoteric information and transformations and you look at real alchemy, alchemy starts when you make a change on the inside. That's what alchemy is. The magical thing we're looking for is actually inside. So when we can actually show up daily to our discipline, to our awkward moments, to our conversations that are uncomfortable, and we start clearing that energy continuously like a ninja, we're not going to see that en masse. It's going to be more hysteria and more craziness on the outside while everyone's walking around waiting for that to happen. And this is the part where, I really feel guided to keep bringing people back home and keep bringing people back into themselves when I do my meditations and so on. It's that wisdom that you've got inside has been whispering to you for years. And now it's screaming at you, and that's why it feels so intense. It feels so much pressure because we're like, oh my god, how do I do this? It's because the wisdom's like, do you want to open the door and let me in, because I've been here for a while and I'm waiting to speak to you. But we only get that when we go in. Would you say that's right, Jonathan, in terms of what you have been guided with and connected with?
I would absolutely agree on that, Nat. It really is about even in the Bible, and for those who know me, know that I kind of come from a Christian background, although I'm not a practicing Christian any longer.
Yeah.
But even in the Bible, the message from Jesus was that the kingdom of heaven is within.
Mm-hmm.
And every single teacher who's come to this planet and given us their wisdom have all said the same thing. And to change the world, you don't go out there with a spanner and a chisel or a shovel and a pick. Well, you can do if you want to, but
didn't do the miners any good.
To really affect change, you've got to change you. It's here that needs to change, and I totally fully support that. And I just think something you mentioned there just triggered me thought, and it was like, well, you talked about dealing with this issue and that issue. Well, perhaps the little issues that we have dealt with, perhaps that kind of adds to the collective then, yeah? Perhaps that then adds to, the whole sea of consciousness. And it's just one little piece of the jigsaw puzzle that no longer needs to be done because it's already there, yeah? And I hope that makes sense.
No, it totally does.
But it is definitely from within, and I don't know how much I can talk about other energies around us. But
you can
I've
talk
got to
about
say,
whatever you like. There is no filter.
If anybody's into cosmic energies, the cosmic energies at the moment are just absolutely mind blowing. They are absolutely, truly mind blowing, and it's like really connecting. I have my eldest son. He had his spiritual awakening about 16, and it literally was like a light bulb turned on, and he connected very much with the cosmic energies. And I've connected with the cosmic energies, and I've quite a few cosmic guys. This is where you start losing people now. I'm just looking at your thing there on the chat. It's like they're all signing off now, going, right, see you later.
No. They're coming. It's all right. You've got 12. We've got a consistent 12 at the moment. They're adding comments as well, though. So
fantastic. Well,
no one hates you yet.
Thank you to the consistent 12 for tuning in. So wonderful. But no, because we've got to open up our consciousness. And in opening up our consciousness, you realize, well, we're not just here on this planet. There's obviously other energies out there. And many of them are extremely benign. Many of them are very highly advanced, not just technologically, but also spiritually. And it's the spiritual ones that I tend to work with. And they are really coming through right now and giving us this message to say, look, you've got this. And if you're into your kind of quantum theory and all that kind of stuff, and you're becoming to understand that time is concurrent, or everything happens in the moment at once, then just think this in your dark times, that we've already got this, we've already done this, it's already happened. Yeah. We've got to the other side of what we are looking at right now. Yeah. That's weird, I know, but it's kind of, we've already triumphed, we've already done that. Yeah. But from a day-to-day perspective, it can be very difficult. And I've had a little day-to-day that I've had to do a little bit of channeling to try and help me kind of ground and rebalance. And that's how I tend to deal with these things. Not everybody has that, you know, thing to work with, but we've all got something to work with, and it's what makes us, I want to say, grounded. It's great to be up in the meditative space, you know, but it's also great to be grounded as well. So we've got to keep ourselves grounded, because the earth is our best friend right now. And when we're grounded, we're tapping into that wonderful energy that's actually helping the ascension within us. So we've got this cosmic force coming down, we've got the earth coming up, yeah, and we're in the middle, the little pig is in the middle, and we're all running around like headless chickens, and, you know, calling each other horrible names and things like that. And this love is this, I class it as a Taurus, you know, toroidal energy. We've got this toroidal energy around us that's repetitive. It's just moving all the time, and this love's there, and all we need to do is jump into that love and then be aware of it. And once we're in that space, the whole magic works, the whole fireworks set off, and it just becomes well, enlightening. I know that's probably an overused word, but that's exactly what it is. And so yeah, there's bags of stuff going on, and I've got quite a lot of cosmic channelings recently. So I know you mentioned you read our newsletter and everything. That there's quite a lot of cosmic channelings coming through on the blog at the moment. So if anybody's interested in that, you might want to check it out.
Yeah, where can they find the blog again? Just while you're saying that, I'll
go and... it's www.holistic-wellbeing.co.uk. And if they go to the blog on the menu, they'll see all our blogs there, loads of different topics, even some lovely tasty recipes as well, by the way.
Exactly, yeah, we do get those. I'm just literally putting that in the chat as well for anybody that wants it, so you can get that there. I get the newsletter delivered straight to my email box, so it's always on Saturday, isn't it, mainly?
It is, yeah. We generally tend to fire it off either Friday evening or Saturday morning, you know.
Yeah.
So
indeed.
And
sorry, I'd interrupted your flow then. I just wanted to make sure we got some websites lined up, that's all.
No, it's Thursdays is always a bit of a fraught day because it takes a whole day to do the newsletters. Well, a whole day and a whole evening. So tonight I'm having a night off. Yay!
Yay! I'll give you the excuse. Booked you in for a Thursday. I was like, he's coming with me.
Yeah, it's it's absolutely amazing, and you know, even to the point of emotion. I mean, this sounds really weird and daft, but we're driving up the A1 the other day, and Anne mentioned something, and the words themselves just triggered all this emotion in me. And it's that was Friday. That was that just before the lunar eclipse, wasn't it? Was it Saturday, the lunar eclipse? I can't remember.
I think so.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it last week?
Oh, do you know what? There's been I'm just looking at moons for my period cycle at the moment, so I'm all mooned out. So just ignore me.
Yeah, the moon does affect ladies, doesn't it? Quite.
Well, apparently it's also hollow, but who knows? In today's world.
Yeah.
Who Built the Moon is a great book.
Was it the Russians who fired a missile at it and it rang like a bell, apparently?
It did. It was apparently hollow and it rang like a bell, and the sound frequencies were very, very interesting to those who think that it's a giant flying rock, which is hollow, which is bizarre. Yeah. That's another rabbit hole. There was a question, just somebody put above, I'm surrounded by people who are closed off, that feels like a massive event would shake them. They all comply, and I'm struggling to wake them. How do I help? You don't.
Yeah. Well, the unfortunate thing is that we can't awake anybody.
No, we can't help them in that sense. That's their own lovely quantum path.
And it's kind of been really apparent, hasn't it, this last I call it 2 years now, because it's near enough 2 years. And this last 2 years, it's been very frustrating for a lot of spiritual people, because they want to wake people up. It's like, come on, you can do it, But sadly, we all have to do it at our own pace and our own time, and when the time's right for us. We can advise, we can kind of help people along. We can sow seeds. I always say that we sowers of seeds, really. And it's like, God, I'm doing a lot of biblical stuff tonight. I think I'm going back.
I'm loving it. I've just started reading the Bible every night, so I'm down with it.
Well, there's a parable, isn't there, of sowing seeds on fallow land, and there's a lot of fallow land, fallow soil in the world right now. And I think one question was asked, and I didn't answer it, was about I saw a comment about when's the awakening going to happen. And as you rightly said, it's not an event. It's not kind of going to be, oh, well, on the 15th of March, don't take this as a prediction, by the way, and please don't hold me to it. But on the 15th of March, 2023, the whole world's going to change. Okay. If it does, I'll take the credit for that, by the way.
If it does, I'll have you back on the 16th of March and be like, well, shit's just gone down. How accurate were you?
Yeah, I'm happy to take the credit for it if it works out.
Okay. Yeah, but not if it doesn't yet.
But you know what I'm saying, and it's true. It's like, it's got to be gradual. It's got to be step by step, because people can get overloaded by all this stuff, and it really has to be felt from within. We can read books, and please do read books. I mean, I've done a lot of my awakening was through reading, and really kind of has influenced me. I would think more than anything, the written word has influenced me more than anything. Obviously, I have my channels with Spirit, which is a big help for me. But the actual written word has been just incredible for. So if anybody wants to start anywhere, and you want to suggest anything to anyone, ask them to pick up a book. Yeah, pick up a book and start reading. And don't know where you want to throw them in, whether you want to throw them in right at the David Icke end.
I would say, do you know what I think? An amazing book to start at, that because it's still very much in this reality, as well as giving us an opposite idea in the sense of what's possible. Something that really helped me, and it's still to this day the best book I've ever read of all time, and it's Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsh. And you can actually listen to the audiobook in Audible, which sounds like a play. It's like a drama. It's read out by a couple of different actors. But what that did for me was it gave me the understanding that I'm not religious in that sense at all. But and I didn't want to get the book. This is another thing. I was looking for another book in Audible, and it kept coming up on my screen. I was like, no, not doing it. About a fourth time in over a couple of weeks process, every time I went on Audible, this bloody book came up, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Fine, got it, hooked, absolutely hooked. Because what happened was it helped me to realize that what we thought about religion, or what we think about God, or what we think about this overarching idea that there's something ruling, is very distorted for a very good reason, because it helps those stay in power that are actually in power. So there's another approach to be able to look at what is available to us in terms of a source, or in terms of another energy that we could use. And it helped me put a different perspective on what God is, or was, or whatever however you want to term it. And one of the things that really I looked at, and they said, the guy said, oh, you've given us 10 commandments. And, that is that a bit like authoritarian almost. And he's like, I didn't give you commandments as in you have to do them. I gave you commandments in this is a good idea to do them if you want to. It might make your life a bit better. It was more like a different approach. It was like, these are 10 steps that you could follow and everything will be okay. But if you don't, it might be a little bit tricky. And it was just a very slight different perspective on looking at stuff. But it opened up my mind to make me realize I didn't know everything. And, when you first wake up, you kind of start learning, and you think you know quite a lot, and not to the end, but like where I am now, 12 years in, I know nothing. I know an awful lot, in the sense of like every day I'm learning something new that could change tomorrow, and that's okay. Learning to know nothing, leaves you in a space to be able to be willing to learn, which is rare these days because most people think they know. And then that's wherein lies the arrogance and the illusion and the delusion. And that's pretty much why we're all here, is because they already think they know what's going on. And that's why they won't give you the time of day when you want to talk about another reality or another side to the story, because it's difficult to get through to them.
Yeah. You become accustomed to the glaze, don't you, Nat, really, when you see the glaze coming over people's eyes.
Yeah.
I once introduced a friend of mine to a certain, let's say, race of beings, and I never saw him again. So, that was way too much, way too soon.
Yeah.
What I got to, you see, I was saying this to Anne the other day. Anne's my wife, by the way, and I was saying, you know what? I said, I forget sometimes that we've been at this 27, 28 years, and there's all this combined knowledge that we've picked up and this wealth of experience. And you got to be really careful that you don't overload people. And I must admit, I'm a little bit naughty for doing that. But I would say that. But I would say that you be prepared in your awakening to have your beliefs shattered. You know, whatever you've believed in. In fact, I have a fantastic friend, and he's an astrophysicist, and he says, and is great. I love him because not only the fact that he's a great bloke and he likes beer, right? But because he says, I don't have a belief system. Yeah. And it puzzled me that when I first heard him say that, I thought, how can you not have a belief system, And you know what? I think that's the best way to be. Believe in nothing. Yeah. For some reason, I've got that picture on Fox Mulder's wall in his office, which had the spaceship on that said, I want to believe.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. I want to believe. Don't want to believe. Just experience, accept, and take on board from that experience what resonates with you. And yeah, I mean, I've had the whole karma issue questioned and everything, and to a point where I'm not really convinced that karma's a thing.
No, me neither.
And certainly not in the sense that a lot of people use it as these days, which is vengeance or revenge. That's exactly
or guilt.
What karma is.
Yeah, or guilt. Yeah. There's another thing that I'm going to ask you. Actually, I haven't had this conversation with you yet. And by the way, that's the other guy's name's not Ashley, is it? The astrophysicist.
No, it's called Phil.
Oh, right. Okay, no, that's all right. I knew an Ashley up there that was also an astrophysicist, and I was just wondering if it was the same one. Okay, so past lives. Jury's out, because I learned something about a year and a half ago that really made sense, that I felt made sense, and really helped me to understand another few things. So for those of you who are tuning in that have never seen us before, hi, we are in the area of sound. So I have a company called I Am Sound, and we look at sound and physics. We look at ancient history, sound in many different ways, in healing medicine. And also Jonathan works in the area of sound healing, and we've had a number of conversations on that subject. Now, I am learning about sound. I now come to think, through direct experience and also from learning deeply, is that when we think of past lives, the fact that we say past, for example, doesn't make sense, because we're all pretty much apparently meant to be living here in the now. So the past in itself is out the window. So what I believe is happening is that we all have a frequency of which we were born in. So each one of us was born in a particular frequency, in a particular band range, a note range. So I was born in the note of D, and my frequency is 17.766. So I know that because I've worked through sound, and that's, what I figured out. Now, within that same note, there are thousands of other energies that are just in or around the same hertz level as me. Now, if they don't pass over fully when they die, they remain in this limbo, this liminal space that we call, whatever we want to call it, these other areas. But they can attach to us because they resonate with us, and they stay with us, and they are in our frequency range. So when we feel like we have an old memory, because everything's happening now, it's not an old memory. We're picking up on a memory of another energy that is within the same frequency range as us, that is coming through us, that is resonating with us, and is causing, it has an effect. So it's like the process of entrainment. So we can think that it's ours. It's entraining us for us to believe that we've had that experience. And this is a really unusual way of looking at it, but it really helps me. Oh, look, there you go. Must be true. The cat arrived. So this is what I'm thinking at the moment in terms of past lives, is that we don't have past lives. And I love the idea of a past life, but no one ever comes back as a plumber. Everyone comes back as a priest or as an ancient priestess or something. No one comes back as, oh yeah, I worked at McDonald's. Like, that doesn't happen when you talk about past lives. Like, archetypal, energies come through, but we never resonate with the day-to-day, lady. Kids do when they talk about coming back as someone. They always choose like some random person that lives in the middle of Texas or something. But as adults, we never have that like past life as such with anybody that's just in the normal world. So what do you think of that being something that is possible in terms of sound? Instead of past lives, it's other energy frequencies on sound frequencies.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, now, because it kind of ties in a little bit with, I've got a very good friend called Jane Roberts Frost, and she receives very scientific information. And she started off on this journey a good few years ago, and she's written a couple of books about it. And she's got this theory of atomic memory. Okay, so that every single atom, every single physical atom contains the memory of everything. A bit like the holographic universe.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's a reflection of God, And so if you imagine that energy never dies, which we know that it doesn't, the energy just, is transient. It goes to where it's needed. It's all around us anyway. But I can see that. I can see that being a thing, that perhaps we are existing when our body passes. So when our spirit passes and leaves the body, I can very much relate to that sound thing. Yeah, I can relate to that frequency, because I don't always explain this to people in readings, because everybody's different, and they come with can be quite an emotional state. So I don't want to start kind of quoting them my theories of how spirit works, really. But I know within myself that when that energy comes to me, it will present itself as the memory of that person. Okay, so that ties in exactly with what you're saying there, because they say many times, we don't look like this, we don't look like an old grandma, we're just light, we're light body, we're light form. So and within that light is obviously a frequency. So I very much would agree with that. But there's also the atomic memory there as well, which helps that frequency to kind of transmit the memories, if you like. So we can relate those memories and that experience of that life through to someone in a reading. Now, what fascinates me is because I work on three senses as a medium: clairvoyant, third eye, clairaudient, right ear for me, and then clairsentient. They talk to me in real time. So I've got to meditate on that one, by the way, because I'm not just quite sure if it's memory. Perhaps I've got to take my consciousness out of that thing that memories the past. Yeah.
Right.
When
maybe it's just a storage bank as opposed to the past. Maybe it's just a bank like the Akashic Records is whatever it is. Maybe it's just accessible information all happening at the same time. There's no memory bank. It's more just like the now bank.
I would go along with that, definitely. And we as human beings can tap into that. That's amazing. If only everybody knew that. And we've been shown that through all the great teachers, through meditation. Yeah. And that is the key to everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's the key to the consciousness. So I very much agree with what you're saying there, and I can see that's the case. I would say to anybody who is going through that awakening process, always try and attain the highest. You know, don't go for the low, go for the high stuff, go for the. And there's a great song by John Lennon again, called "Tomorrow Never Knows" off the Revolver album.
Mm-hmm.
And that the lyrics in that song are actually amazing. It wasn't all his own work. It was part of it was Timothy Leary and the Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
But if you actually just read the lyrics, he talks about connecting with the void. And I have a monthly reading with a guy. I may have told you this before, Nat, I don't know, but I have a monthly reading with a guy, and it's not what I call an Uncle Bob and Auntie Annie reading. We actually push the boundaries a little bit, and let's say the boundaries of consciousness as much as we can. And we talk about the void, and the void is this space where we become super conscious or omnipresent, or it's the whole shooting match of consciousness. And we can actually attain connection with the void through meditation. And that's what John Lennon was talking about. His lyrics were "surrender yourself to the void," I think. And when we surrender ourselves to the void, then we are actually connecting with the true consciousness. And we as human beings can achieve that. That's not unachievable. You know, it might seem way far off to some people, but the void is all around us. It's the God consciousness, you know, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
So go for the highest, you know, go for the void. I mean, you may want to meditate on a specific thing, but just allow yourself and your consciousness to attain that, and then the magic begins to happen, I think.
Yeah, it does. I do my meditations that I do every Monday night on Insight Timer, if any of the Insight Timer people are here. So every Monday night at 7:30, I do a free meditation on Insight Timer, which is the world's largest meditation platform. And every week we go into the void and we do a space meditation, basically. And what I mean by that is that when I start to walk people through the meditation, it's going down and down and deeper, but in between my words and in between everything I say is the space and the gap. And all I ask them to do is to fall in between each word as I'm talking. And then they start to realize that they're dissolving and moving right down into that space. And in that void, you can do anything. You can leap into another reality. You can go into another version of yourself. You can look at other things like objectively. You can look at them without emotions. You can dissolve the body and go into the void. And it's a very important process. And I've been building up more and more people. Sometimes I have like 30 people. Sometimes I have up to 300 people, you know, meditating with me on a Monday. And I often say that, you know, you've all chosen tonight to come and join this meditation, and every one of you around the planet is all dipping into exactly the same space, regardless of time and space. You're going into exactly the same point, which is the void. Your consciousness is totally connected, and people connect through that. And it's not difficult. It's really not difficult. We're not talking about something space age. It's just a recognizing that you can take yourself there, and then your mind will go there, which is beautiful. And it's very, very simple. But I think a lot of people, when they hear this stuff, they're like, "Oh, it sounds a bit, it sounds a bit weird," but it is fairly simple. And then something else you said about is the belief I wanted to touch on. For example, if you're talking about last lives, you're talking about past lives. A lot of people have created their identity out of there being past lives. And what I mean by that is they will attach the current problem they have today to a past life situation in the past. So they will have created a story, an attachment, and an identity, which they will have used in a way to be able to help them handle their problem today. And when they do that, it's like a crutch. Now, if you go up to someone and say, I don't think there is past lives, it's all sound, you're taking away their crutch, and you're asking them to dissolve their idea of their own way of dealing with something. So they're not going to want to give you that crutch. They're not going to want to come away from that. They're wanting to support themselves with that information because they found a benefit in doing that. And if you have also created an identity out of being a past life regression therapist, for example, or you are working with people and your constant language and your terminology of saying things is to help people deal with things, it's a past life. And you may have had conversations with energies that you believe are past lives because that was the concept you had. You can always tell when someone's got a belief system is if you tell them something that contradicts their belief system, there's an angry response, or there's a short response, or there's like a no, that's not true, I don't, and there's a visceral reaction in them, which means something right now is going to get taken away from me. I'm going to lose face in some way, or I'm going to lose this in some way, and I'm going to feel vulnerable, so I'm going to fight to the death to keep it. And that's where we get very, very stuck, and we're not willing to go beyond our beliefs and expand, and we're not really willing to be wrong, and that is a very dangerous place to be, because people will hold on out of sheer embarrassment to beliefs that are outdated. Like scientists, for example, not all of them, but a lot of scientists will hold on to a belief because they've built a career and written papers on that belief, and their entire life's work has been created on that thought of them being right. And they've been accredited for that being right, and they've given talks for being right, and they get paid very well to be right. And as soon as you come along and say, oh, well, that theory over there is not, it doesn't stack up when you look at entanglement theory, they can't handle that, because they feel like you're attacking their personal identity. And that's why we're stuck where we're stuck, is because people are scared to let things be and to let things go, because they don't know what else is going to replace it.
Yeah, familiarity, if I can even say the word, comfort zone, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, the whole past life thing. Because if you look at, the quantum thing again, and if time is concurrent, then past lives are lives that we're still living. Yeah, if we were having that life, we're still living that life right now. And there's this. Again, one of the belief things that came through to me, and that was the belief that we have to keep coming back to having another go at this life, having another go at the earthly life. No, we don't. We don't need to do that. Yeah, it's not a karmic thing. It's not a necessity.
Reincarnation.
Absolutely, and again, that's just, to me, that's can I say that's a constant energy feed for certain.
Yeah, and it drains your energy to make you believe that you're not enough here today, therefore you have to come back and do better next time. If you went to school every single week and they were like, not quite, maybe next week, you constantly go through school like, what the fuck? What's the point? And that's the energy, that's the low energy that they want you to, I'm going to say they, and people will say, who's they? And I'm like, there's a they right now in the world, because things aren't going swimmingly for some reason, because people keep making decisions that don't align with what we want. So therefore I'm calling them a they. You can say what you want, but the idea of there is a reason to keep us thinking a certain way, because when we are thinking a certain way and we stay in this certain energy, we are easily controlled, we are easily divided, and we are easily separated, and therefore we are easily conquered. And that's what's happening right now. And it's a dangerous place to be, but that's the current reality that I believe that we live in. And again, it's a belief. I could be wrong, and I'm okay with that.
Well, and just to blow the lid on the whole thing and say, well, what I feel right now, I may be completely way off the mark, but I'm actually coming more around to accepting that perhaps the things that I speak about and feel and experience, it could be, I always say to people, I can't, I talk about the truth, but I can't say to anybody that I can prove what I say, or what I experience. And this is why life is about experience. It's about our personal experience in this individual energy field that we choose to separate from our spirit, our true spirit. We separate a little bit of that spirit to come and experience physical existence. And And I tell you what, there seems to be a big thing about that in the spirit kind of dimensions, is that if you elect to come to this earth, oh mate, I tell you what, you're a hero coming down here to experience what's on offer on this planet. And you know, it's like, oh, are you going to Earth? Crikey, you know, are you all prepared and everything, you know?
Did you see the video that I posted in Telegram? Are you on my Telegram?
I'm not, you know, I don't know. I've tried to steer clear of Telegram and any other form of thing like that now.
No, it's because I don't have anything else, as you know. I'm not on any social media other than YouTube, and this is it, and a Telegram. But I did a Telegram video the other day. I sent one out to my group the other day, and it's these two little girls. Somebody's done this. It's incredible. These two little girls are on the cloud, sat up in the sky. And they're speaking telepathically together, so there's no words, which is obviously apparently what happens up there, or down there, or in there, or out there. And they say, one of them's like, "Oh yeah, I went to Earth," and she's like, "Really? You went to Earth?" And she said, "Yeah." She's like, "Wow, what was that like?" And she said, "Oh, it was crazy." And she starts talking about her journey, and she goes, "Yeah, because as soon as you get down there, you lose your mind. You can't remember that you've been there." And the other little girl's going, "What? Really? That sounds crazy." And it's this great way of looking at what might be of a conversation after you've been to Earth. And it made me feel so heart-centered. And I was just like, wow. And it's just these two little girls having a chat on a cloud about coming to Earth and what that might be. And it's beautiful. So if anybody hasn't followed me on Telegram, go and find Nat Rich on Telegram, and you'll be able to see my channel on there. And it just sums it up for me. It's like, we don't know everything, but if you opened your eyes, your heart, and your mind, and closed your mouth for now, and you were willing to look around the world, and I gave you a pen, and I said, right, go and join all the dots together. When something's like, oh, okay, cool, that doesn't make sense. Okay, that one and that one. And then stand back. You can see that there's a plan. There's something going down. It's obvious, but you have to be willing to take the pen. You've got to be willing to look, and you've got to be willing to step back and be like, okay, now what are you going to do? You know? And not many people are willing to do that. So it is a tricky time. But I genuinely do believe we are here as dot connectors. And somebody's just put in, the Northern Conspiracy Theorist again, has put in a question. I may be way off, but is the lockdowns and the 2-meter distance, is it to stop our frequencies from interacting and synchronizing? Interesting perspective. I would say not necessarily as much, because frequencies exists through time and space, and can reach anywhere, like the ripple effect. But in terms of synchronicities, that's mathematical. So I don't believe that's the case. I believe it's because of our nervous systems. So when we are close with one another and we're connected, our nervous systems respond to each other, which is scientifically proven. If you put your hand on my shoulder, there's a response to that. If I can see your face, I have a visceral response to your expressions on your face. So I connect with you more. So we are connected. I think that's a division, not necessarily because of the frequencies and the synchronizing, but because of the human interaction. Because when we're together, we are stronger. When we're divided, like you see the babies that didn't get any attention in the Russian what's it called, orphanages, who died very early on because they got no human interaction, because their bodies were starved of human interaction. And that's what I believe is happening right now.
Yeah, and of course we've got to imagine, understand as well, that we've got this, again, a toroidal field around our bodies, you know, and we'll call it the aura, call it whatever you want. And it's those toroidal fields that they don't want to be interacting. They don't want to interact. And the 2 meters is probably about right for people's aura or toroidal field when they're at rest, you know, or when they're just going about the normal daily lives. And when you develop your psychic senses, you can become very acutely aware of the energies around you through that toroidal electromagnetic field. So yeah, it's all well, shall we call it sacred geometry? Because everything is sacred geometry, because everything is by design, you know. There is nothing on this planet or in this physical realm that is left to chance, you know. And that's my philosophy. I'm not saying it's true, but it's like, and anybody who does the lottery and all that kind of stuff, I'm a big believer that if you're meant to win the lottery, you will win the lottery, you know.
Yeah, but somebody will buy you a ticket and give it to you if you didn't buy one.
Yeah, but I know your take on that might be a little bit different, and I think it's good that we have different points of view. But it's kind of, you know, this is another subject for conversation, I think, Nat. Life path or manifestation, that would be a good one. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Let's write
Life
that
path
down
or
for next time.
manifestation. That's a conversation that me and Anne have frequently. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's going to be all right. We'll do that on the next one: life path or manifestation.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Because let's not go into that now, because I will go on for hours. I'm like, okay, but yeah, that's a very good subject, actually. Okay, you've just booked yourself in for having him back. You're going to see so much more of him. I love it. Is there anything else that you have felt into this kind of past coming couple of weeks that you think would be useful for people to know, that you've, any direction over, especially over the tight restrictions of what may be coming or may not be coming over the next couple of weeks, leading into the new year? Has anything come up for you?
Not as such, in terms of, well, when I say that, I think many people have expected the restrictions to come back, and lo and behold, they're coming back. Yeah. And those damn conspiracy theorists, they really want rounding up naughty people. They keep predicting the truth, and what shall we do about them? But the thing is, keep the faith. Yeah. Tune into that center, that part of your soul or spirit which tells you that everything's going to be all right. And it might not look all right in the outside world, but in the inside world, which is what we've been talking about tonight, is everything's absolutely fine. Yeah. The world is playing out how it needs to play out right now. Everything is meant to be. Everything is happening right now that needs to happen. Mm-hmm. And however low we get, however down we get, and even, for someone with my experience, and I'm not meaning that in an egotistical way, I get some days where I absolutely hate humanity. What are you doing to me? Humanity, humans, what are you doing? What are you doing to yourselves? Mm-hmm. And then the next day I'll be all lovey-dovey with humanity again, and we'll have this great relationship. But keep the faith. And what you've said now, the message that's coming out now, and other people and myself and across the world, is this is where we need to go. Don't look out there, yeah, because it's all mind-bending frequencies, and it's all a real mishmash. And whether you believe in the 5G thing or whatever, they've flicked the 5G switches all over the country. They're going for it now with all that. So we've got more intense frequencies to deal with. But you know what? You, in your spirit, you are untouchable. You are eternal, untouchable, divine love and light. And that is your spirit. And when you think about it, however many years we have on this planet, it's not that long. If you've got an eternity to live it all in, 70, 80 years on this planet is not a very long time. And we only see it as time because
we've been given it.
Reality's being stretched to make it look like we've got a timeline, and we're talking about everything's happening in the now. So know within yourself that if you want to manifest something, you want to manifest a better world. And we have a little free meditation Sunday mornings, by the way. And this is the theme of the meditations right now, is imagine that world happening right now. Whatever world you want, don't want it, be it, live it now. Yeah. And send the universe those signals that it's already here. So a world of peace, a world of love, a world of harmony, a world of compassion, a world with no money, with no restrictions or controls or borders. We're back to imagining again now, aren't we, John Lennon song?
Yeah.
And be that frequency. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That was a good place. A couple of things came up when you said it, and I thought, no, wait till next time. But I was just saying that it's a bit, when you were saying whether it's a life path or a manifestation, I look at it as like, is it a benefit or a consequence? What are we living now? Are we living from a consequence? Are we living out the consequence of not doing something in the past? Or are we benefiting from something we did in the past? So like if I did all my bills and got everything ready for my accountant, I'd be benefiting now from living from back then. Nat would have done amazing work and my accountant would be extremely happy. Just so happens that I didn't do what I needed to do on time because I was doing something else, and now my accountant's chasing me for things. So that I'm living a direct benefit or a consequence. So if the world's absolutely F-U-C-K, or it's F-U-C-E-K, whatever it is, I can't even spell F-U-C-K-E-D. I was going to just say it then, I should have just said it. If the world is fucked, is it because we didn't take personal responsibility back then and now we've managed to manifest the society that we're living in today? And are you willing to take personal responsibility for that exact amount of madness that we see on the planet and do something about it? I don't know. You know, where does that leave you? But I think we will leave that there, and we'll have you back and we'll go down that path. I think that would be good. Be good to get Anne on as well at some point when she's camera ready.
You know what she's like. She doesn't like the limelight, Nat. You know.
It's all right. We'll make it lemon light. We can get her a lemon light and we can have her on. We'll have the limelight. She can have the lemon light. But thank you so much. And obviously I got your website earlier, which is in the chat there, but I'm going to put it in another time because we've got a lot.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
In the website. So we will announce when you're back. We'll figure out a date and get that back up. I'm starting to be back online way more now. I Am Sound, my membership of my baby is launching on the 21st, which is the winter solstice. So I'm very happy to have that out, and I will start talking about that over Christmas. But I'm really looking forward to being online more and having way more conversations as I was before. But I just, the lockdown, I hope it doesn't happen. But if it does, I will be on air regularly with meditations and also cool chats with people like yourself. So thank you.
Thank you, Nat. I say pleasure, always a pleasure. So
thank you so much. So for everybody else who is at home right now, if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so, because I'd like to build up my subscriber list. And also you can go and check out iamsoundacademy.com, which is my company, which is what I'm talking about. If anybody has any questions or anything they want to reach out with, please do so. Try and reach out to me. I'm going to put my email address next to this. It's nat@where'snatat.com. I will try and respond. I don't read comments after I go live because they take you high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. And my ego gets attached to the bad ones sometimes. And it's a very tricky thing. And this is why I don't like social media, because it can pang you all the time. So I try and avoid things that make me go west, which is the comment section most of the time. So that's for my mental health. But if you do want to reach out to me, you can do so. And Jonathan's details are also just above mine in the chat, and his details will be underneath too. So thank you so much, Jonathan. Everybody else, we will see you next time. Jonathan, you stay there. And yeah, we'll see you probably on Sunday night. I'll be doing a live meditation. Bye for now.
Bye.